So this next story bothers me because, it's a practice I engage in, and I'm sure many of you watching the program this morning engaging. This is the tap and go functionality. Now, it's embedded in many bank cards, and as many of you know, it's become the height of convenience and enabling this move towards a cashless society. But it comes with its pitfalls, and if you read this article from product head at Armata, Richard Frost, he details the pitfalls and encourages consumers to opt out of the tap and go feature because of the security risks it poses. I really want to know more. I'm sure you do too. So let's talk to Richard now. Richard, good morning to you and welcome to the program. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, I read through just trying to understand how the mechanics of these scammers, kind of operates and is able to accomplish what they are able to accomplish. But I'd love for you to just start out with a broad, appraisal of the way we've all just moved over to cashless payments and embraced the convenience of it all.
Yeah, good morning, and thanks again for having me. I think if you look at what's happened in the last few years with COVID, we've definitely moved into sort of the contactless payments world more so. People are less, using cash a lot less. They want to use the credit card rather. There's more risk. Unfortunately, all of the convenience of having that tap function has now allowed a new form of fraud to occur, where people are utilizing either a cell phone or one of those payments, the portable payment devices, to actually scam people by tapping their card as they're about to make another transaction. So to give an example, you could be at a petrol station, you could go into the shop quickly to go buy a few things, and while you're trying to pay for those and maybe even the petrol from inside the store, somebody touches your card as you're about to transact with one of these devices, and they can actually fraudulently take money off your card.
So that's what I found so fascinating. So if you're standing in a queue and you've just tapped, because you're saying it almost happens in that exact moment that you kind of tap and go. In fact, let me pause that for a second, Richard, and go to this, because is it just the physical cards, or is it what I have on my digital wallet on my phone? Are both at risk, or is it just the actual physical tactile card?
I would say it's the card more so than your digital wallet. Your digital wallet has got a lot of controls in place. The NFC function, which allows you to actually transact with the payment device, is only activated at the time of payment, whereas your bank card is always on, right? So you could also go and tap multiple different card scanners within a certain period of time, whereas with your payment wallet, your digital wallet, it's enacted for one transaction. So the minute you actually say, right, I want to go and pay for this transaction, and I tap with my cell phone wallet, immediately after that, the function to pay is disabled again until you reenact it. And then there's controls such as using either a PIN number or your fingerprint to actually enable the payment feature that stops people from just walking up and tapping your card without you knowing it.
All right, so there are more controls, as you're saying, with your wallet on your mobile phone. So let's go back to this card then and how it works. I'm standing in line, as you described. Let's use your example, at a filling station. I've gone inside because I probably want, an unhealthy snack, and I'm going to pay for my petrol and that snack at the till point there. Paint a picture for us of how this happens, how these scammers do their business.
So I think, within society, we have become quite blasé with people that are around us. We probably don't have the situational awareness that we should have, especially in public spaces. Somebody walking around very flamboyantly, talking and communicating with the cashier while we're, standing in a line trying to pay is a normal day-to-day thing in South Africa. So what would happen then is, as you kind of lean over to tap the payment device, the individual that could be, flaying their arms around with a cell phone in their hands goes and actually taps your card without you noticing it with their cell phone, and in turn actually takes a financial transaction off of your card. So they're using their cell phone device or one of these handheld payment devices to actually scam money off of your card while you're actually legitimately trying to pay for your goods at the convenience store.
Okay, again, because, you have to talk to me, Richard, as if I'm 5, because I need to just understand in a little more detail what you're saying. If you're flailing your card around, when you talk about somebody else being able to transact via their cell phone, because I can understand on the remote device, you know, the till point, sort of the remote ones, that you could probably input something and then all it needs to do is make a connection between the, you know, the chip in your card or whatever to register a transaction. And that can happen maybe successfully, surreptitiously. But how does it happen with a phone to your card?
So I'm not sure if you're familiar with some of the banking card scanners that are out there for small businesses that don't have a proper till point. So you get like the IOCA handheld device. And your smartphone now with the NFC chip in it can actually act as one of those scanning devices so that it has the actual ability for you to tap your card on the phone and actually initiate a transaction there. So all the fraudster will do is they'll load a financial amount of, say, 500 Rand onto their phone, and they'll try and get in between yourself and your card before you pay at the actual till, so that you actually tapping their phone, and that will take the 500 Rand from your card. So you legitimately are taking your card out of, let's say, an RFID protected wallet where it disables the function, you know, to be able to tap. And now you're about to make a legitimate payment. So you reach over to go and tap the card machine. And as you are reaching over, they walk past and just, you know, sleight of hand, move their phone past your card and take another transaction off. So effectively, you're making two transactions, one legitimately for the goods that you bought, and the second one fraudulently on the handheld device that the fraudsters utilizing.
Yeah, Richard, and you know, you described me aptly there in the beginning when you said, you know, a lot of South Africans would be there, they'd be flamboyantly chatting away to the staff. This is how I've been scammed twice, by the way. Once, you know, by a distraction, because I had this bad habit of keeping my bag in my trolley, being distracted, and then somebody comes and nabs the trolley, or, you know, in any other way. This sleight of hand certainly is there. You don't realize it's happening to you, and people are so quick. This is what they are trained to do. Now, let's talk about how rampant this is. How big is it in South Africa? I think you've done a really great job of putting us in the situation and in the picture. How bad is it out there?
I think it'll probably be something that will start increasing. It's definitely an opportunistic crime. In other words, the situation has to be right for them to be able to perpetrate the crime. There's other things that are happening now as well. A simple thing as walking up to an individual that has a smartphone in their hand and, you know, at threat of gunpoint saying, you know, EFT money from your banking app into this account. Again, it's opportunistic. There's a limited amount of time that you have to perpetrate that crime. So there's very limited amount of times when that can actually be, you know, put into effect. But the tap function on our cell phones, I think the problem that you're having now is, as much as some people are putting controls in from a banking perspective, in other words, the bank says you can only tap up to 100 Rand without a PIN or something like that, these machines seem to be bypassing those controls. So, for example, if you banking with FNB, and I don't want to utilize another bank's machine as an example, but you could tap at another, you know, one of the big four banks, and their controls are maybe not as strict as FNB. Somehow that seems to bypass the security of your card. Yeah. So it definitely is something that, you know, certain companies will have a lot stronger controls in, certain banks will have a lot stronger controls in. But I honestly feel that if you're utilizing something like a digital wallet on the Samsung device or on the iPhone, it will have more security controls that are less easy to bypass, like being able to turn off the NFC function at any point when you're not using it, than your typical bank card, which is an always-on function.
Yeah, you've answered the last question, Richard Frost, that I was going to ask you about the responsibility that banking institutions and service providers have with regard to this. And as you write, for FNB, in this particular case, they're ending this tap-and-go functionality as of 2024. Really great and useful tips and awareness that you've shared with us this morning, so we're really grateful for that. Go back, if you've missed some of the details in this interview, and when it's uploaded onto our YouTube channel, go and have a look at some of these cautions that Richard Frost is sharing with us this morning. Very, very useful advice. Thank you so much. Richard Frost is the product head at Armata. We've got more news and views when we return. Stay with us.